This is K-Vibe. This is Korea.
Coming up on Arirang News, President Yoon Suk-yeol will be paying a 4-day state visit to the Netherlands next week, noting that his trip will help bolster semiconductor cooperation between Seoul and Amsterdam and will boost South Korea's defense industry and exports. South Korea, the U.S., and Japan have launched a trilateral working group to cut off North Korea's illegal cyber activities, as agreed during the Camp David summit in August. A South Korean state-run think tank says, despite sluggish domestic consumption, the country's economy is seeing gradual recovery after hitting its lowest point, mainly driven by stronger semiconductor production and exports. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We start with President Yoon Suk-yeol's upcoming state visit to Amsterdam next week. Through his trip, South Korea seeks to forge a stronger chip alliance with the Netherlands, which is home to ASML, one of the world's largest suppliers to semiconductor companies. Our presidential office correspondent Oh Soo-young leads us off.
South Korea will forge a semiconductor alliance with the Netherlands, along with close partnerships in green energy, defense and high-tech sectors. That's according to President Yoon Suk-yeol's office on Thursday, ahead of his trip to the Netherlands next week. First, amid geopolitical conflicts and economic instability affecting the production of semiconductors, South Korea's biggest export item, Seoul will seek to stabilize supplies of chip-making equipment for its firms. As the Netherlands is home to ASML, the world's biggest manufacturer of lithography machines used to produce over 80% of all semiconductors globally, Seoul hopes to combine Dutch equipment with South Korea's advanced chip manufacturing. With the goal of building a chip alliance across government, firms and universities, Yoon's visit will likely include deals on forming a bilateral dialogue channel on semiconductors, as well as developing joint projects. Joined by the chiefs of memory chip giants Samsung and SK Hynix, the South Korean leader will visit ASML's headquarters, becoming the first world leader to be given a tour of the Dutch company's clean room facility. Yoon's state visit to the Netherlands, the first ever for a South Korean president, comes after the two countries elevated their ties to a strategic partnership last year, agreeing to work together in crucial industries, including semiconductors, artificial intelligence and green energy.
The strategic partnership between Korea and the Netherlands will boast a security that's grounded by value-based solidarity and economic security cooperation that's based on cutting-edge technology. During this state visit, we aim to jointly respond to economic and security crises and find ways to improve supply chain vulnerabilities in strategic industries. To this end, we're discussing ways to establish a new economic and security dialogue body and hold regular consultations.
Yoon's office said the two sides will closely cooperate on common security issues such as North Korea's nuclear threats and support for Ukraine. They will also promote more exchanges and collaboration in the defense industry and emerging security fields such as the military use of AI and cybersecurity. Furthermore, Yoon's state visit is expected to solidify the groundwork for cooperation in green energy, including nuclear power plants, as the Netherlands aims to build new facilities to increase its clean energy sources. Artificial intelligence, smart agriculture and logistics will also be key agenda items.
We plan to discuss ways to establish an export base for Korean companies at the very center of European trade by utilizing the Netherlands' advanced infrastructure and logistics system.
Economic security has been at the focus of Yoon's diplomatic outreach this year, seeking new markets and business partners for South Korea's export-dependent economy. The country's outbound shipments from October have been recovering from 13 months of negative growth on the back of stronger global demand for semiconductors. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Staying with President Yoon, meeting business leaders today to ramp up strategies for defense industry exports. President Yoon vows to support the sector that's been growing fast in the recent years. South Korea also unveiled a plan to become one of the world's top 4 defense exporters. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
South Korea is looking to become one of the world's top 4 defense exporters by 2027 by prioritizing 5 key sectors: space, AI, integrated manned-unmanned systems, semiconductors, and robotics. That's according to the new Sustainable Defense Industry Export Promotion Strategy, unveiled by the government on Thursday at the second Defense Export Strategy meeting at Hanwha Aerospace in Gyeonggi-do Province. Presiding over the meeting was President Yoon Suk-yeol, with relevant government officials and business leaders in attendance.
방위 산업은 우리의 안보와 경제를 함께 뒷받침하는 국가 전략 산업입니다.
Promising the government's support, the president also emphasized that the government, military, and the private sector have to work together to resolve the difficulties the industry currently faces. But South Korea's defense industry has been on the rise. According to the Korea Development Institute, in 2022, South Korea exported $17.3 billion worth of arms, double compared to the year before. And while the exported items were focused on ammunition and ships, they have expanded to jets and howitzers. President Yoon also emphasized the importance of protecting the supply chain for chip-making equipment to push South Korea's defense industry harder, saying this will definitely be discussed with the Netherlands during his state visit next week.
특히 EUV 등 세계 최고의 노광 기술을 보유한 네덜란드와의 반도체 협력은 우리 방산 역량 강화에 큰 기여를 할 것이고 또 방산 수출의 새로운 기회도 마련할 수 있을 것이라고 생각합니다.
After the meeting, he met with 13 young people working in the industry. Encouraging them, President Yoon underscored their importance to the nation's economy.
우리 방위 산업에 그야말로 핵심적인 역할을 하고 있는 이 청년 연구원들을 보니까 정말 든든합니다.
The young professionals share their visions in the industry and even the difficulties they face. President Yoon promised that as they are involved as a key driver to the nation's economy, they will be rightfully compensated. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Moving on, South Korea's Unification Ministry sees frequent public appearances of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's young daughter, Kim Joo-ae, as an indication that she may well be next in line to rule the regime. This assessment is the first to be publicly discussed by the government here. Our Kim Jongs reports.
The South Korean government is beginning to recognize Kim Jong-un's daughter Kim Joo-ae as his most likely successor. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, South Korea's Unification Minister Kim Jong-un said that the North Korean leader appears to be in a hurry to put some of the spotlight on his daughter, indicating that he's trying to demonstrate his will for succession amid difficulties faced by the North. The minister's assessment comes amid growing speculation that Kim Joo-ae's frequent public appearances indicate that she may well be next in line. Last week, Kim Joo-ae was spotted at North Korea's Air Force Command with her father. North Korea unveiled a very rare photo showing Kim Joo-ae standing in front of the North Korean leader, revealing the growing importance of her status. Another official from the Unification Ministry also said that Kim Joo-ae could be the next leader. They pointed out the fact that out of the 19 public appearances she made, 16 were during military occasions, where military commanders were spotted saluting Kim Joo-ae. Moreover, North Korea created the position of a first secretary 2 years ago, which was widely anticipated as a role to groom a potential successor to Kim. The position remains vacant to this day. Kim Joo-ae is still young, however. Unlike his daughter, Kim Jong-un had a very limited amount of time to prepare for the succession after the death of his father, Kim Jong-il.
The reason behind Kim Joo-ae's early appearance is perhaps in order to preserve the so-called Baek-do bloodline and to establish a hereditary succession system.
However, the expert says it is still unclear whether a woman can become North Korea's supreme leader, as the regime still remains a Confucian patriarchal society.
He added that having Kim Jong-un nominated as a successor could lead to a possible power struggle between her and her father, suggesting that more analysis is needed before reaching a conclusion. Kim Jong, Arirang News.
South Korea, the U.S., and Japan have launched a trilateral working group to tackle cyber threats from North Korea, as agreed during a summit between their leaders in August at Camp David. According to the Foreign Ministry, the group's first meeting was held in Tokyo on Thursday, with South Korea's nuclear negotiator Lee Jun-il and his American and Japanese counterparts Jong Bak and Ishizuki Hideo taking part. The officials shared views on the North's illicit cyber activities linked to nuclear and missile development, including the laundering of virtual currency, as well as the regime's hacking groups. The three sides agreed to closely work together to limit the activities of North Korea's IT workers. Top EU officials met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing on Thursday, marking their first in-person summit in about 4 years. While meeting the two European presidents, Ursula von der Leyen from the EU Commission and Charles Michel from the EU Council, she said they must jointly respond to global challenges, while von der Leyen said the bloc and its biggest trading partner must address their differences. Thursday's meeting took place as the two sides aim to repair damaged ties after they have clashed over trade and the war in Ukraine. The Korean economy appears to be gradually recovering out of the doldrums on the back of chip exports, according to a state-run think tank. Domestic spending and investment, however, remains sluggish. Our An Sung-jin has more on its assessment.
Despite a slowdown in domestic demand, South Korea's recent economy has been slowly recovering, driven by the chip industry and exports. November's monthly trend report from the economic think tank, the Korea Development Institute, said on Thursday that the continuing high interest rates pulled down consumption and investment in equipment. Retail sales saw a greater on-year decline for most consumer goods, including automobiles, home appliances, food, and clothing. As consumer spending dampened, the Consumer Sentiment Index also fell by nearly 1% on-year, suggesting a possible continued sluggish consumption. However, as international oil prices fell, the pace of inflation has been gradually easing. Overall industrial production for October saw moderate growth of 1% on-year, despite fewer working days and a slowdown in sectors relying on domestic demand. Industrial production was mostly pulled up by high growth in the chip industry as chip prices started to rise. This on the back of a rise in demand for the latest smartphone models and AI server products. The boom in chip exports pushed November's total exports up 7.8% from the same month last year. Exports of chips were up 12.9% on-year. Automobile exports were also up by 21.5%. By country, the trade value of exports to the United States continued an upward trend, from a 17.3% on-year increase in October to a 24.7% increase in November. And the on-year decline in exports to China shrank from negative 9.6% in October to negative 0.2% in November. The trade balance improved from a surplus of $1.63 billion to a surplus of $3.8 billion, as the exports maintained a moderate growth and imports declined. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
With high consumer prices, many companies here in South Korea are deciding to keep the prices the same, but reduce the amount or size of their products, which is described with the word shrinkflation. The government has decided to take action and come up with measures in response. Our business correspondent Shin Ha-young has the details.
A South Korean brewery has reduced the volume per can in a beer bundle pack. Cuts in quantity can be also found in items like frozen dumplings, canned tuna, and chips. This phenomenon, so-called shrinkflation, occurs when manufacturers reduce the quantity of a product while keeping everything else, including price and package design, the same. There's another term called skimpflation, where companies keep the prices but cut back on the quality of products or services. As an example, one leading orange juice brand reduced its actual real juice content from 100% to 80%, but left the quantity the same. Even though there is a labeling system called unit pricing, which helps consumers compare prices using a standard unit of measurement, it is still difficult for them to remember the price of each item.
When it comes to ice cream, I'm a bit disappointed because the quantity seems much less compared to before. I'd rather pay a little more and enjoy the original amount I used to get.
This to me sounds a little bit sneaky, that not to tell the customers or still keep the same packaging but reduce the amount in there. That's not really very fair to the customers like me who don't normally pay attention to the amount.
This comes amid efforts by the government to curb food prices by managing prices for individual items. But the pressure appears to have backfired, leading manufacturers to seek indirect methods of raising prices, such as shrinkflation and skimpflation, at a time of high inflation. One expert says it is the government's role to help consumers become aware of the changes.
The government can't stop companies from engaging in shrinkflation. What's more important is making policies that can inform consumers when there's change so they can acknowledge it and decide if they still want to buy. Putting stickers on products that have been reduced in terms of either amount or quality is one way to do that.
The Korea Consumer Agency is examining 209 processed foods and 73 other daily items for potential instances of shrinkflation, with the results expected to be announced in December. New regulations on this matter will be announced during this month. 신하영, Arirang News.
With concerns over delayed urea imports from China, the government is seeking alternative sources to lessen South Korean companies' dependency on a single source. The Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy says it is looking into providing funding to help companies deal with additional costs when importing urea from Vietnam or other countries, as it costs a little more than when importing from China. Urea is a key chemical used to reduce emissions from diesel-powered vehicles, and more than 90% of that used in South Korean diesel cars come from China. Officials say that the additional cost to import urea from other countries will be around 26 billion Korean won, which is about $20 million annually. Google has unveiled its most ambitious new set of generative AI models yet, the Gemini. The tech giant said on Wednesday that it is the largest and most capable artificial intelligence system that it has developed so far. Built to be multimodal, it can not only understand and combine information from text, but also from images, videos, and audio, unlike existing AI models that can comprehend only one type of user prompt. Google claims that Gemini's large language model hugely outperforms rival models, including the Microsoft-backed OpenAI's GPT-4, in most of the metrics. On the local front, among the many outstanding solutions to address daily concerns this year is a system that ensures indoor air quality. Jung Eun-ju explains.
Many innovative inventions were showcased at an exhibition recently held in Seoul. A machine that can simultaneously measure indoor pollution and control the release of sterilizers was chosen as the most outstanding invention of the year. The machine looks like an air purifier, but its shape can vary depending on the space it controls. Inside the machine, 9 sensors detect temperature, humidity, volatile organic compounds, and ammonia, among others. The figures measured by these sensors are sent to the control unit, allowing the system to determine indoor air pollution levels. If the figures are high, the machine automatically releases environmentally friendly sterilizers and pesticides.
We have developed a platform that can predict air quality by measuring bioaerosols with 9 sensors.
The concentration of fine dust inside train or subway tunnels is at serious levels because these tunnels lack a ventilation system, unlike car tunnels. This invention removes dust inside train tunnels and reduces noise levels. The electricity consumption is as low as that needed to power a smartphone. The device can also self-clean automatically.
Dust particles in the air become polarized, and the inside of the dust collector is the opposite polarization. So when the dust passes through, it sticks to the collector.
This sensor measures ultraviolet rays, the main culprit behind skin aging and skin cancer. It can accurately measure the amount of ultraviolet rays regardless of the angle at which light enters. Being in a compact chip form, it can be applied to smartphone and cars. These are technologies that have received the highest evaluation among numerous inventions this year.
It's meaningful for companies to continue to innovate through technology, prevent technology leakage, and focus on protecting it.
The exhibition also featured new technologies to prepare for climate change. A type of fringe moss was altered to survive up to 100 days without water and attached to walls to reduce fine dust and become a natural air purifier while emitting clean oxygen. There's also technology to recycle leftover coffee grounds from coffee shops. By mixing them with plastic raw materials or decomposing and reprocessing them, they become colorful, versatile new materials. 정은주, Arirang News.
The ruling People Power Party's Innovation Committee announced on Thursday that it's ending all its activities. This is about 2 weeks earlier than scheduled and 42 days after its launch in October. The committee was formed to seek ways to bring change to the party and regain voters' trust after the PPP was defeated in a by-election in a Seoul district. The head of the committee, Dr. John Linton, commonly known by his Korean name In Yo-han, said the committee achieved 50% success and that the remaining 50% is up to the party to carry out. The committee, comprised of 12 members with diverse backgrounds, will share its final proposals at a party leadership meeting on Monday. The track Better Things by K-pop girl group Espas has been listed as one of the best songs of 2023 by the New York Times. Announced on the newspaper's website on Wednesday local time, Espas was accompanied by globally renowned musicians such as Olivia Rodrigo, Doja Cat, and Lana Del Rey. The four-member girl group stood out as the only K-pop artist mentioned on the list. The New York Times commented that the song Better Things is a K-pop kiss-off with ingenious vocal harmonies. The track was released in August.
Even though today was supposed to be what's called major snow, the third seasonal winter in the lunar calendar, the weather continued to be milder than usual. Tomorrow will be as warm as early spring. The daytime temperature in Seoul will rise to 16 degrees Celsius, while the nationwide average is 15 degrees. With temperature swings like this, it's easy to catch a cold. Please take care. As time goes by, dry spells on the East Coast area are getting severe. Dry weather and strong wind warnings have been issued on the East Coast, leaving a high risk of large-scale fires. It's crucial to take precautions against wildfires. Tomorrow's Seoul will start off at 7 degrees. Busan will be milder at 11 degrees Celsius. There will be sunshine for most regions by the daytime. Highs in Seoul will get up to 16 degrees. Daejeon, Daegu, and Busan, 19 degrees. From tomorrow afternoon to overnight, a small amount of rain only in Gangwon-do province is in the forecast. Other areas will be sunny throughout the weekend. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Well, that brings an end to this newscast. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 10 p.m. with our AI headline news. Good night.
Understated, yet harmonious and beautiful.
growing tirelessly, but full of relaxation and romance. Thus, we expect the Republic of Korea to continue making